What's good, everybody? It's been a while, hasn't it? For obvious reasons, which I'll talk about soon. But I'm glad to be back. Glad to be thought out. Glad that I'm not a Jeff Sickle. Glad to not be frozen anymore. And most of all, I'm glad to be back here with you all. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to wait for some more people to come in. Let's see here. How's everybody doing? Let me know you're live in the chat. Hit me up. Okay. Let me go grab my link here right quick. Okay. Fantastic Automatic. What's going on, Queen? Nice to see you. Let some more people come up in here. Stay warm. Yeah, that's not very hard anymore. Like I was out and about earlier today, and it's all sunny and dry and normal. Like Austin's basically trying to act like it wasn't trying to kill us all last week. So it's back to normal. Hopefully it stays that way. I don't see here. The thing is, the weather isn't the issue. I like that weather. I like the snow. I didn't like not having power though. I didn't like not being able to go anywhere. That was a tough part. End game. What's good, man? How you doing? All right. Got some more people coming in. While you're waiting, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button and please share this too. I'd really appreciate that if you'd share this video as well. That all helps me out quite a bit. What's going on, Julian? Blue collar intellectual. The intellectual of the blue collar variety. All right. Okay, so I think I'm ready to get this going. And more people will come in as time goes on. Let's see. Now, I've got a lot to talk about, so I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible so that we're not here all night, although I know how much you guys love me, so I'm sure you wouldn't mind. But yeah, but first, again, I'm back now, so I'll be doing this every Monday and Wednesday. That's a good question. Where is Coach? She's hating on me again. See, you guys don't know how she treats me. You know, she's always so abusive to me, and I don't know how to handle it sometimes. You guys have to help me with that. But anyway, I digress. So I got through last week, and again, back Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. And this week is CPAC, and I will be there. I will be in sunny Orlando, and I'll be, hobnobbing with all the who's who of the conservative intelligentsia. And I do plan to do a live stream from there if I can on Wednesday evening. But even so, I'm still going to record some videos. Now, most of these videos are going to be available on my locals.com community. And the link is already in the show notes. You will have to be subscribed as a member to be able to view those videos. But I'm going to be basically reporting on what I've seen at the event, my thoughts on it, what's going on, and what this could mean for the next couple of years going into the 2022 midterms. I think that this one, it'll be a big one this time. And President Trump will be speaking on Sunday, but that's not the only reason it'll be big. It'll be big because he'll be there and he'll be outlining what he's going to be doing. It's his first public appearance since the inauguration. So I'm sure that he's going to have a lot to say. And even beyond that, there's going to be a lot of different things going on. So I think it'll really kind of set the pace or set the tone for what we can expect in the coming weeks. So definitely sign up on my locals. I'll be talking about it, and I'll do at least one video per day. I'll try to make them, lengthy enough to have substance, because I saw they finally released their agenda. And so I have an idea of the breakout sessions that I'm going to attend. So it'll be some pretty interesting stuff. I'll talk about that more later, but keep your eye out for that. I'll be sharing it on social media, all that good stuff. But definitely go to my locals community and sign up as a member. I'm going to be putting a lot of exclusive content on there. I'll also be hosting live chats for questions and answers. If you have questions for me or suggestions or whatever you want. So I have a lot of good things coming up, and it will be worth it. And by the way, it's only $5 a month. I mean, that's less than a Starbucks coffee. Come on, help your boy out. But I mean, also, as always, even if you don't join the locals community right now, there are other ways to do a one-time donation up here, and you can also see the rest of the show notes. But anything helps as a full-time content creator now. So before we get into a lot of the meat, I kind of want to talk about something that Maj Toure posted. CPAC about to turn into a cookout, really? It might. That actually that's a good segue. Yeah, it cookout with Maj, Jeff, and so see, you're already beating me to it, Julian. That's not cool. But anyway, there is going to be a panel. Unfortunately, I won't be on it, but I'll be in attendance. Have Maj Toure. He'll be moderating. Sonny Johnson will be on stage. Wayne Dupree is not going to be in this session, but he's going to be speaking on another panel. So we've got a few other people too. And I think that session will be really, really good, because if you notice, these aren't the normal Black conservative ink types. So it'll be the first time that people will be on the stage at CPAC, Black conservatives who have a different point of view and a different approach. And Fantastic Automatic, you know you're wrong. You know you're wrong. All right? I'm going to actually touch on that too with the whole young Pharaoh thing. I saw that come out today. But still, it'll be quite interesting. And Maj Toure actually did a little promo for it, did a little video, and he asked a question that I'm going to answer really quickly, because I think what he brought up is pretty interesting. So check this out real quick.
What's up, Solutionaries? Got a great surprise for everybody for CPAC this weekend. Obviously, you guys know I speak at CPAC whenever they have me. I've been here for the last 2, maybe 3 years straight. This year, we're going to do something a little bit different instead of what we normally do. We have a amazing cast of folks that we're going to have a conversation about some real issues in the Black community and the conservative community at CPAC on Sunday, 2:30, not long before, President Trump will be on stage. It's going to be great. In thinking about this, because we're not the run-of-the-mill conservatives or Black conservatives that just say them talking points that everybody knows about, that everybody agrees with, that in all honesty, the Black community doesn't resonate with, okay? My question that popped up in my head was, how long before media and what station will try to paint the only new Black conservatives, right? How long before they try to paint us as whatever they're going to try to paint us as? I want to know what y'all think the over and under is on that. So, but outside of that, y'all, see y'all this weekend in Orlando. We're going to have a great time. The positive energy, good weather, all that other good stuff. It's all positive. It's all good. And we're going to have those hard-hitting conversations that are necessary. See y'all at CPAC 2021. Be safe. Be solutionary.
Came through dripping, drip, drip. Came through dripping, drip, drip. Came through dripping, drip, drip. Diamonds on my wrist, they drip.
So back here. Yeah, so shout out to Maj Toure. By the way, my Black Guns Matter shirt arrived today. I'm very excited to start wearing it. But the question is, how is the media going to portray this? And here's my answer. They're not going to. They're not going to cover that panel. they're not going to report on that. You know, what we saw with young Pharaoh about how he was invited and then some allegedly anti-Semitic remarks that he made before were published by Media Matters. And I was skeptical at first because Media Matters does lie a lot. Most of what they put out is dishonest. But I mean, I'm assuming that they did the research and they found out that he, said some stuff that doesn't quite comport with their brand. So they're not going to have young Pharaoh on there. And the Media Matters covered that, but that's gonna be it. They've already given this panel the coverage that they're going to give it. They are going to ignore the panel, and the reason why is because the people involved don't conform with the usual Black conservative Inc. Type. Both the right-wing and left-wing media are heavily invested in promoting a certain type of Black conservative, or giving a certain type of Black conservative that attention. Now, for the right, we know right-wing media, they only promote Black conservative Inc., the Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, Larry Elder, the establishment types, for their audience. They use them to create a certain perception of Black people among their white conservative audience. One of their main objectives, or not objectives, one of their main purposes is to present the illusion that the Republican Party actually cares about reaching out to Black Americans. And it also, again, they promote certain stereotypes about the Black community that they want their audience to believe about us, because they're trying to promote the idea that, let me reel that back in real quick. They want to put forth the idea that the reason why the Republican Party can't get the Black vote is because Black people are a certain way and it's Black people's fault, and the Republican Party hasn't really made any major mistakes in reaching out to the Black community. So that's one of the reasons why they like them, because they can just talk trash about the Black community. And their white conservative audience, who actually genuinely want to see more Black people on the right, will believe it, and they won't hold the GOP accountable for the mistakes that they've made. I've talked more about this in the past in other videos. I'll be talking about it more again, but that was kind of my 2 cents on that. So, here's the thing. The reason that the left-wing activist media wants to promote certain types of Black conservatives is because they don't want Black Democrats to see that there are Black conservatives who actually like Black people, who like being Black, who aren't afraid to say that they're pro-Black, who don't peddle the usual colorblind nonsense that you hear on the right and on the left too. It's not just on the right. But the last thing that the Democrats want Black Democrats to see are people like Sonny Johnson or people like Maj Touré, because these are normal Black folks who have no problem with the idea of identifying as Black. Because if that were to take more root on the right, which it will, it'll become easier for the conservatives to win more Black votes. I mean, it's plain and simple. So that's my answer. They're not going to cover that at all. They're not going to pay any attention to it. Now, if I'm wrong about this, and let's say I'm wrong, and they do, they will still try to portray these individuals as the Black conservative Inc. type, even if they have to lie about it. I mean, they lie all the time, so it wouldn't be a shock. So just wanted to touch on that, but just want to get into the meat here also. And just a reminder, please subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button. That'll help me out a lot, and please share. But first, I want to talk about the ice storms that happened in Texas. It wasn't very pleasant. Here, let me get my water. See, this is an example. Normally, I have my magic water jug, and today I don't. I have to use regular water bottles because they have a boil water notice. We have to boil the water. I can't just go get water from the refrigerator. It sucks. But this too shall pass. But here's the thing. There were a lot of things that contributed to the problems that we had here in Texas. Now, on the right, you're seeing everybody blame the windmills, the renewable energy sources that the state of Texas has invested in. Then on the left, you have people blaming a few things, blaming the fact that Texas relies on fossil fuels and the fact that Texas is on its own grid. It doesn't share the grid with other states. It's not on the federal system. And so they're saying that because they don't want all the regulation, that's why this happened. Now, what's the truth? Is Is it windmills? Is it the reliance on renewable energy? Or is it the fossil fuels? Or is it the independent grid system? The answer to the question is yes. Yes to all of those things. All of those things played a part in the disaster that happened. Obviously, nobody can affect the weather, but it knocked out all of our power. It messed up our water supply. And there are a few different reasons why this happened. I'm pulling up an article that I actually wrote a few days ago on this, and I'll share it here. But the thing is, this is on redstake.com, by the way. I'll put the link in the notes. And so first, like I said, I mean, Dan Crenshaw on the left, or I'm sorry, he's on the right, obviously. And he wrote an entire thread on this, talking about what happened, about us having energy problems. And he basically went into how the wind energy, the turbines froze, which happened, the windmills froze, and they weren't able to provide enough energy. And wind power doesn't necessarily provide as much energy as fossil fuels do. That's one of the issues with them. It's obviously cleaner, but it doesn't provide as much power. So even if we had more windmills and some of them froze over, that would have actually made the situation worse. So then the conclusion is that, well, maybe they shouldn't have invested in any wind energy, any renewable energy, and just relied on fossil fuels. But as you can see, that failed too. And so if we had only relied on fossil fuels and no wind energy, the situation may not have been quite as bad as it was, but it probably still would have been. And I'm going to get to the reason why. Another issue is that we had a nuclear reactor shut down. So right here, you can see, I'm quoting the Washington Examiner. And they say the shutdown of a nuclear reactor in Texas has contributed to the state's power shortage crisis caused by extreme cold weather. One of the 2 reactors shut down at the South Texas Nuclear Power Station, an hour southwest of Houston, knocking out about half of its 2,700 megawatts of generating capacity. Now, this would be enough to provide power to more than 2 million homes. I believe that total we had between 3 and 4 million homes statewide that were without power for various amounts of time. Now, me personally, I was without power and water since 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, not this past Sunday, obviously, but the Sunday before. And it didn't come back until Friday or Saturday. And if you follow me on Twitter, you saw me bitching about it the whole time. It was horrible. But for some, it was about the same amount of time as me. There was maybe few people who were out of power longer, like they ran out or it turned off on Sunday afternoon. And then some others fared a little bit better. They were out for maybe a few days, or maybe they would have it turn on and then it would cut out. They were trying to do rolling outages where they controlled which areas were without power for a few hours and then they turn it back on. It was supposed to rotate. That didn't work out. And one of the most frustrating parts of this was the fact that the authorities were not communicating. So in my area, the energy company is Austin Energy. That's what most people have here in Austin. But they have different energy companies all over the state. But all of that is regulated by the Electricity Reliability Council of Texas. It's ERCOT for short. They're the ones who call the shots. They make the decisions as to whether we're going to have power outages or who's going to have their power on or who's not going to have their power on. And they were not being very transparent at all. Now, when I say the communication was abysmal, it was horrible. A 10-year-old could have communicated what was going on better than they did. And I was monitoring them on social media. I was retweeting their tweets that made no sense. Every now and then they might tweet something that gave you some information, but most of them were things like, oh, we're working on getting the power turned on. Really? No shit. Yeah, of course, you better be working on it. Or they're saying, oh, we're restoring power to 100,000 houses. But what they weren't telling you is that a lot of those houses had their power turned off again 10 minutes later, an hour later. They were not handling this very well. They weren't giving us an idea as to when things would be resolved. They wouldn't even issue a communication saying, you know what? We don't know when this is going to be resolved. We're going through storms right now. There wasn't just one freeze. There was a freeze at the beginning, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday when we had another one, and then we had another one after that. So they can't predict the weather, obviously. Well, they can. I mean, they can. I mean, the Weather Channel can predict the weather, but still, they can't predict necessarily how that's going to impact the power. So they wouldn't even say that. So we didn't have any idea what was going on. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that people weren't really talking about a whole lot. I saw some people talking about it, but there was a lot more to this than whether it was renewable energy or whether it was fossil fuels or the fact that Texas isn't on the federal system. And you know what? This is all just politicking. The reality is that the management of this was incompetent. If the government was in charge of it, they can be incompetent too. If they're private companies, they can also be incompetent. This was the result of not learning a lesson. This is not the first time that we've had a freeze like this. It's happened in 2014. It happened in 2011. It happened in 1989. And then I believe it happened in the early 1900s. So you would hear a lot of people saying, oh, this is a once in a century event. No, it's not. This doesn't just happen once every 100 years. It's happened before. Now, they weren't all as bad as they were now. But here's the thing. They had warnings to winterize their power, the equipment used in the generators used to provide power for years, and they never did it. They didn't want to spend the money. It'd be expensive. They didn't want to invest in the resources necessary to winterize the equipment because they knew that it wasn't going to be a common thing. It's not like we live on the East Coast where they get battered with this weather all the time. But here's the problem. Over 30 people died in this thing. I mean, the kids died in this thing. There was one recently I just heard about, only 11 years old, died from hypothermia. There was an older gentleman who was in his recliner and froze and died from the weather. It was horrible. And then on top of that, you have people dying from other types of things, like they're not able to get food, they're not able to, get water. I was barely even able to get to the store on time, and I had to wait an hour just to get into the store to get water and food and other items. So here's the thing. This was a failure of leadership. This could have happened under any type of system. So blaming it on just one thing or two things, I mean, we have to get serious about this stuff. This can't just be political. I mean, yes, did the turbines contribute? Did the failure of the turbines contribute to the problem? Of course it did. But they only make up about 25% of the total energy output. Now, that's significant. That's a quarter of all the power that Texas puts out. But the fossil fuels, the issues with that were even worse. But the real issue is that neither system were set up to deal with freezing weather. You can set up wind turbines to be able to deal with freezing weather. You can do the same with fossil fuels as well. Same with nuclear. So there was absolutely no reason why this should have happened. There was plenty of warning, and it sounds like the leadership just kept kicking the can down the road. I mean, people are blaming Abbott. Okay, that's fair. He's a governor, but he didn't start this. This started long before him, and nobody did anything about it. So it was pretty crappy situation. I mean, Ross, yeah, because Ross Schumann lives in Midland. He knows what it was like. I was scared for a while because when this happened, first off, we didn't really have any warning that it was going to be this bad. We didn't know that the power was going to go out. We knew that there was going to be an ice storm, but we had no idea. And so I was almost out of gas before this whole thing started, and I couldn't even get gas because all the gas stations were out of gas. Now, I got lucky eventually and found one, and I was able to get some gas, but that wasn't until, I believe, Thursday. So I think it's important when we have situations like these, we're always so quick to politicize things, but not everything needs to be politicized. Sometimes people mess up, and it's not because they're a Democrat, and it's not because they're Republicans. Sometimes people just mess up. They make bad decisions. Speaking of bad decisions, go on to my next topic. Now, y'all have already heard about Ted Cruz, right? Y'all already know what Ted Cruz did. So now I'm about to go in. One second. So, Senator Ted Cruz. It got a little bit sticky, got a little bit hairy, got a little bit freezing to death. And what did he decide to do? He decided to try to skip town. He thought he was slick. He thought he'd be able to go down to Cancun and just wait this whole thing out. And then blamed it on his kids, saying they wanted to go on vacation. And here's the thing, I believe him. I believe that that's what happened. But he knew good and hell well that it would be a horrible look for him to go down to Cancun. I don't know what he was thinking. He knows better than this. And here's the thing: when Hurricane Harvey happened, he didn't do that. He did the right thing. He was here trying to hand out water, hand out food to people who were affected by the hurricane. He knows how to handle this stuff. He's been a politician for years. And I get a lot of people on the right are defending him. I'm sorry, I am not one of those people. And you know what? I like Ted Cruz. I'm a fan. I like him. That's why I'm so angry about this. If I didn't like him, I would still be angry, but I wouldn't be as angry as I am right now because I want him to do better. I don't know if he just didn't have people around him to say, look, Ted, dude, come on. Send your wife down there, send your kids. They can go to Cancun, but you got to park your ass here and get to work and start doing something. Like that there is no universe where that would be okay. Now I get all the pushback. Oh, well, look at what Andrew Cuomo did, and the media is not paying attention to that. You know what? A few things can be true at once. Andrew Cuomo is a piece of shit for what he allegedly did. The media are corrupt for refusing to cover it, which they're not doing now. They are covering it now. But yeah, they are pieces of crap for focusing more on Cruz than they do on Cuomo. Yes. And Ted Cruz was wrong. All of those things can be true at the same time. I'm not going to pretend like Ted Cruz wasn't wrong because other people did stupid stuff too. So there is no reason why we shouldn't hold these people accountable. They say, well, what was he supposed to do? Fix the grid? No, he's not supposed to fix the grid. You know what he's supposed to do? He's supposed to do what his opposition did. Why is it the Democrats can get this stuff and we don't? This is why we lose. This should have been a slam dunk on a Fisher-Price basketball court. There's absolutely no reason why the Democrats should have been able to make Texas Republicans look like morons. And they did. This is why I have that hashtag. Hashtag stop the stupid. This is the type of shit I'm talking about here. There's absolutely no reason why this should have happened. Here, I'm going to show you something real quick. While Ted Cruz was trying to escape to Cancun, here is what was going on. Let's see what what's her face was up to. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And Beto O'Rourke, by the way. Beto O'Rourke was helping. He was out there helping people get water, helping people get food. Actually, he still is. I saw a tweet from him yesterday where he's out there delivering food to people's houses. But what's Miss Ocasio-Cortez doing here? Team AOC is launching relief efforts for Texas starting today. This was on the 18th. Our first effort is a partnership with 5 Texas organizations getting on the ground relief to Texans ASAP. If you're able, please donate here, yada, yada, yada. So she starts to raise money. Okay, great. You know what? John Ossoff donated. Is that how you pronounce Ossoff or Ossoff? Whatever. People started to donate. She's raising money. What was the next tweet? Wow, we officially raised $1 million for Texas relief at 9/17. Now, I'm not sure what city AOC comes from in Texas, if she's from Houston or Dallas. Oh, no, wait, no, she's from New York City. She doesn't even live here. She's doing this for people who don't even like her. I'm sorry. I couldn't make this up. This is a level of stupidity. Like, I'm laughing because I don't want to cry because this is a depressing level of stupid. Okay. Thank you all so much. I'm at a loss for words, always in awe of movement work. And you know what? She's a socialist. She didn't get the government involved. She did this on her own. She the people with her, AOC and her team took it upon themselves to raise money to help feed people who were impacted by this weather. No government program. What does that sound like to you? Anybody have the answer? It starts with a C. It sounds like conservatism. This is what conservatives are supposed to do. We always say that we don't want the government involved in helping people and giving people handouts. We think it should be done privately. And no, I'm not talking about the conservatives who think that if somebody's on the street, you should just leave them there and the government shouldn't get involved and you shouldn't get involved. Conservatism means that instead of the government taking care of people, we do it as private citizens. AOC was using a conservative principle, and she's a democratic socialist. And the ones who claim to be conservative weren't doing much of anything. Now, I'm not talking about rank and file. I know that there were a lot of rank and file people here in Texas who were willing to help people. I actually met some, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm talking about leadership right now. So this is what AOC did. But wait, there's another one. We've now raised $2 million in relief for Texans and are adding more. So 1 million, 2 million. And of course, she had to slip this in there, didn't she? I didn't see this. Charity isn't a replacement for good governance, but we won't turn away from helping people in need when things hit the fan. She is using a conservative principle to sell socialism, guys. Okay. So let me keep going. Holy smokes. Oh, wait, no, this is a different one. Okay, never mind. I'm going to go to the next one. All right. We just hit $4 million. $4 million raised by a Democratic socialist from New York for a red state. And she's going to be meeting with Sheila Jackson Lee, Al Green, and all those folks. She came out here to Houston, y'all. She was here in Houston. She might even still be here. I don't know. But here's a clue to where I'm going with this. Look at some of the responses. Imagine doing this and not telling everybody about it. This right here, that's why we lose, because we engage in stupid thinking like this. First off, if you're raising money for people, are you supposed to keep that a secret? You won't raise any money, so you have to publicize it. Let's see. That money will all go to China because you're the one who raised it. If Trump raised the money, it'd go to us Americans. For the love of... Okay. And here's one more. Sadly, using a crisis to give yourself props. Will the millions raised actually go to the people, or will most of it end up in the pockets of already wealthy and power? Asking for my friends in Texas. Come on now. You don't give a shit about Texas. Come on. Here's the thing. This is stuff that people come up with because they don't want to acknowledge the fact that AOC did something right because she has a D next to her name. They also don't want to acknowledge the fact that the people who represent them, who have R's next to their name, didn't do any of this. And here's the thing. First off, people saying that, oh, it didn't really go to the people, they know that's not true. They know that's a lie. But it went to 5 different food pantries, 5 different nonprofit organizations that were out there feeding people. I already looked, I checked, it actually went to them. Now here's the other thing. Oh, well, she's just doing it for a photo op. She's just doing it to promote her agenda. Hell yeah, she is. Here, I'll even show you. I will even show you. Where to go? Yeah, here's her video real quick. Come on. Okay, maybe I have to take this off first.
So many of us have been caught in a disaster in one way or another, and very sadly and unfortunately, climate change is making these kinds of disasters worse, more frequent, and with a lot more intensity. And so, just a few years ago, we had these devastating floods in the Midwest. We've been hit in New York with Hurricane Sandy. We had Harvey here in Houston, and now we have fires in California, freezes. It is sad, but this is part of our new normal as a country. And we're going to have to really get really good at responding to these disasters swiftly and effectively, and also making the infrastructure investments necessary to prevent these kind of catastrophic chain impacts from happening again. And frankly, that is what the Green New Deal is all about. It's about really putting people to work, creating 20 million jobs in this country so that we can invest in infrastructure. And by the way, make sure that low income and communities of color and white working class communities aren't left behind. Because if we don't make these kinds of investments, then the wealthy, the privileged, and the powerful get to keep their lights on, and everybody else has to go weeks, days, or in the case of Hurricane Maria, months or even a year without power. And so this is about equity. This is about acknowledging the reality of climate change. This is about protecting people, and this is about creating prosperity in the first place. And so we have to really all of us. That is why what's happening in Texas is important to our whole country, because it's a freeze here this week. It could be a freeze in California next week. It could be, another tropical storm or hurricane in New York in a couple of months. This is about all of us and how we're going to collectively answer climate change.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Green New Deal, climate change, equity. Do you get what I'm saying now? So yeah, she used it for her agenda. And you guys, some of you are not going to like what I'm going to say. I'm going to get some Sesame Street responses here. I know it. But here's the thing. She didn't just do it for her agenda. She did it because she wanted to help people. Not everybody on the left is the spawn of Satan. She is using this because, yeah, she's going to feed people. She's going to help people. And she gets to promote socialism. So people are saying, oh, well, she's just doing it for a photo op. I agree. I just showed you. Here's the thing. I don't care. Nobody cares. If you were driving down the street, let's say you're driving down a road, nobody's there, and your car breaks down and your phone's dead, and somebody drives up behind you. The guy gets out. He's got a tire iron, or not a tire iron. Let's just say he's got a phone and he's able to call for help, but it's Beto O'Rourke. Are you going to care that the guy's a Democrat? Or are you going to care that he's there to help you? Yeah, that's what I thought. The people who got that food don't care that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a Democratic socialist. All they care about is the fact that they've got some eggs, they've got some bread, they've got some meat, maybe some pasta. They can make something. They can survive. They've got some water. They've got blankets. They're going to weather the storm because of this Democratic socialist from New York City came out and came through. Now, here's where we got even dumber with this. And yeah, I hate saying we, because I know not all of us, we see the flaws here, but I'm sorry, we're conservatives. They're on our side. I mean, we're going to get painted with this stuff anyway. Here's how some of us responded. So first, actually, I'm going to go to Greta. No, actually, no. I'm not going to go to Greta first. I'm going to go to, where's the brother at? I just had him up here. There he is. Alan West. Now, I'm sure most of you know who Alan West is. He was a representative from Florida, military guy. I got respect for him. I don't dislike Alan West. He's been in the game for a while. And he is also the chairman of the Texas Republican Party. So he responded on Twitter, and he had a whole thread. I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing. I don't think it's necessary. But let me go here. He has an article that the Houston Chronicle published, and he says, I hear that New York progressive socialist Representative AOC is coming to Houston with $2 million for weather relief. So that must have been before she got to 4. Well, by the way, she's up to 5 million by now, guys. 5 million. The gesture is appreciated, but it doesn't remove the fact that her Green New Deal philosophy failed Texans. Since 2006, Texas has given $19 billion in taxpayer subsidies to wind energy companies. Over the past 2 to 3 years, Texas has tripled our dependence on wind energy, yada, 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 yada. Texans appreciate your assistance, but don't want to be part of a partisan political photo opportunity. If you truly cared, you would have anonymously sent the check instead of making it about you. How the hell would she even have a check if she wasn't able to raise funds by using social media to get people to give her money so that she can send it to Texans? Come on. Stop the stupid. Stop the stupid. This is so easy. This is not hard. So here's the thing. So we have ice storms, right? Everybody's power gets knocked out. Ted Cruz tries to skip town, gets busted, comes back, and now he's got little maybe pictures of him now getting water for people. Meanwhile, Beto O'Rourke, who ran against Ted Cruz, almost won in the 2018 midterm elections. He's out there calling on seniors, making sure that they're okay, making sure that they have what they need. He's raising money too. He's out there personally getting involved. Then we've got a Democratic socialist from New York City. I'm going to keep saying that. A Democratic socialist, a far leftist, a Marxist from New York City, raising $5 million to feed people. and help them get through this. And we respond by criticizing them for it. It is the dumbest thing in the world. So here's the thing. Here's what we could have done. We could have said, wow, they're doing a lot. Maybe we should do some stuff too. Now, it shouldn't have even gone that way. They should have already been on this from the get-go. But when you see that the Democrats are doing what you're not doing, the appropriate response isn't to try to tear that down, is to try to beat them at their own game. If she's raising 4 million, you raise 6 million. If she's raising 5 million, you raise 7 million. You get your ass out there and you get going. You use your influence as a senator. And that was my issue with Ted Cruz. No, I don't expect him to go out to fix anything. He can't. But could he have helped people? Yes. Does he have influence? Yes. Influence is power. So Ted Cruz has a lot of influence in Texas. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he still has influence as a sitting United States senator, and he could have used that to help people get through this and shown some leadership. Like I said, he already knows how to do this because he did during Hurricane Harvey. So this, again, is why we lose. And here comes Greta Van Susteren. I read criticism of AOC for going to Texas to help with their crisis. It is a bad idea to criticize her or anyone for helping. People from all over the USA help each other, and it should be encouraged. Her presence also spotlights a crisis, which is good to remind others to help. Fine. And here's where I'm going to say something positive. And he responds to Greta Van Susteren's tweet. Texans are grateful for the help during a time of need. We can save the political debates for later. Thank you, Senator Cornyn. I don't even agree. I disagree with Cornyn on some stuff, but he was being the adult in the room here, and I love it. Good on you, Senator John Cornyn. And after that, he also tweeted out a link to another organization that's helping people here in Texas. He was the only one not the only one. He was one of the few people who acted like an adult in this situation. I'm sorry, if I'm in dire straits, I don't care about the political affiliation of somebody trying to help me out. If it's AOC, that's fine. It doesn't matter. And guess what? We already know that the Democrats are trying to flip Texas, right? I mean, we already know about this. While we're calling Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stupid, she's making us look like asses. Like the same thing with Stacey Abrams. We were spending so much time making fun of her looks and her weight and what have you. Meanwhile, she kicked our asses in Georgia. And you know what? With this stuff like this, if we end up losing, we deserve it. We deserve it because this is how we're handling things. The Republican Party already has a reputation for not caring about regular people. Why would we want to add to that? Why would we not want to kind of, why would we not want to dispel that perception? Well, maybe because some of it is well earned. I don't think it's 100% fair. It's not, because here's the thing, rank and file conservatives will help each other out a lot. I was looking on the Nextdoor app, and one of the challenges that we had here, since we didn't have power, was keeping our devices charged. And as you know, I couldn't work because I couldn't keep my computer charged. I could keep my phone charged if I went out to my car, but I couldn't do that all the time. And some people even died from that because they didn't realize that they were inhaling carbon monoxide in their garages. My car was outside. So there's an app called Nextdoor, which I'm sure a lot of you heard of, and somebody in my neighborhood said, hey, if people need to come and charge their equipment, they can come on by. And you know what? I did that. And I met some of the nicest people in the world. I basically made new friends. I wouldn't have met them if this hadn't happened. They let me charge my computer, my phone, and some other stuff. And they were really nice. They plied me full of wine. So, I mean, yeah, that's already a plus. And these were some of the most awesome people I've ever met. And it didn't even matter what their political affiliation was. They were just good people doing good things. And that's what Americans do. So conservatives do these things. They do understand this concept. The problem is that a lot of our leaders don't seem to get that concept. They don't get the idea of empathy and showing empathy. I'm sure if Ted Cruz was walking down the street and he saw somebody suffering, he would help them. I think most people would. But when it comes to things like this, they just don't get how this is supposed to be done. And if Ted Cruz had done the right thing, would the media have said that he was doing a photo op? Yeah, of course they would. They may have even been right. But again, I don't care. If he's using what he has for good, then I don't care if he's going to use it. If he uses it to promote conservative principles, fine. I mean, what AOC did is a conservative principle. So this is the type of thing that we need to fix on the right. I'm not 100% sure how we can fix it. Maybe it's by electing people who actually understand how this stuff works. I mean, I don't know much about this guy, but I saw Madison Cawthorn out there giving pizza to National Guard troops who were at the Capitol. He didn't need to do that. Was it a photo op? Yeah, probably. Do I care? No. He did the right thing by feeding those people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And anybody who takes issue with it is a POS. I mean, come on. It's the same principle. And the thing is that I think Republicans fall into thinking that, oh, well, we have the better policies. We have the better principles. And so that's going to make people vote for our politicians. That's not true. It's not enough to just have principles and policy. You also have to have persuasion. If there are two companies, if I have a company and let's say you have a company and you have a better product, but I can sell better than you, I'm going to put you out of business, even if I have an inferior product, because I know how to persuade people to buy what I'm selling and you don't, even though you have the better product. We have to get better at this, guys. Like we need leaders who are good at this and who understand how this stuff works. We can't afford to keep making mistakes like this. We want to win in 2022. We want to win in 2024. But this is even beyond just the government. I mean, we want conservatism as a culture to have more of an influence in our society. Stuff like this doesn't help. And unfortunately, it seems to happen more often than not. So we need to know how to have leaders who can showcase their ability to do the right thing and to actually put conservatism into action and highlight the fact that it is conservatism, that these are our principles. So I'm going to, I could go on for so much longer on this, but I'm not going to. Yeah, you guys got my point on that. I'm going to take a look at some of the comments here and respond. Let's see. Let me get back up here. All right. Ken Cruz, really? Yeah, that's what we should call him from now on. Senator Ken Cruz. Let's see. When you consider the expense of winterizing, you need to keep in mind that generators are forced to run a low operating and maintenance cost because the wind turbine generators are fixing the market. Okay, that might be true, but it's not an excuse for us to not have winterized things. I mean, there are ways to winterize the turbines if we really want to have them. And that can be its own debate, whether we should be relying on wind power at all. I get it. I totally get it. But either way, the issue isn't that debate. The issue is, how do we prevent this from happening again? Let's see. Nobody likes Ted Cruz, not even his colleagues. Well, one thing you might not know, Mrs. Automatic, is one of the reasons why his colleagues don't like him is because when he first came on the scene, he was calling them out for being establishment people who didn't get anything done. So when they were talking about dealing with healthcare, he actually went out there and tried to do something. That's why they don't like him. And he just has that kind of personality. So, I mean, well, it doesn't matter in this case, because even so, he still could have done something and he chose not to. Let's see. In Cruz's defense, I think I saw an email listing Cancun as an official warming center. Yeah, I don't think that we needed an email listing for that, though. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. She uses capitalism as well as anyone. Yes, she does. This is not the only example of AOC using a conservative principle to push her agenda. I mean, even a while back, she was playing that game Among Us with another politician from Canada and using that to raise money for whatever pet cause she was doing. But I mean, they play for hours and hours and hours, and people were watching them play while donating their money. And you best believe she was using that as an opportunity to sell her agenda. We need to wake up. Business as usual does not work anymore. We live in a new age. We've got to figure this out. And I don't think it's as hard as it seems. It's not hard at all. I mean, the Democrats are giving us ideas to do it anyway, and we can just build on what they're doing and use it for our purposes. Let's see. She rebranded capitalism as socialism. Sort of, yeah. I mean, and it's interesting, even in that tweet, she acknowledges that she still wants more government. She still thinks that government can handle it better, but while she's at it, she might as well do her thing too. Jeremy Crit, what's good, man? Jeremy it was one of my friends in high school ages ago. Good guy. We got to connect. Yep, she used conservative tactics as a socialist. So depressing. Like, come on. Yep, people keep sleeping on her, and she keeps capping them in the knees. When are we going to learn? I mean, it's just, and it's like people just find reasons to not learn the lesson. Like I said, I gave you the excuses that they gave before. Oh, well, she's just trying to get a photo op, or she doesn't really care. But first off, like I said, nobody cares about that. She's helping people. That's all that matters to them. Let's see. Let's keep going. This is a good point. We are seriously polarized in this nation. Politics defines morality. You know, I think it definitely defines the way we see morality, right? I mean, if this had been Scott Presler, if Scott Presler had raised $5 million, nobody would have questioned his motives. Nobody on the right would have. If, say, Matt Gaetz or Josh Hawley had done something like this, we wouldn't have questioned his motives. Even though there are people on the right who are just as corrupt as people on the left. So all this really amounts to is, what letter do they have next to the name? It's tragic. Let's see. So, this is an interesting point. The GOP has come to resistance and will resist everything the Democrats do, even if it is good. Yeah, but we've always been that way. I mean, on the right, we're reactionary. And that's another unfortunate thing. I mean, here with AOC, we didn't come up with a way to help people in Texas. None of our leaders did. AOC did. And then we reacted to what she was doing, and we reacted badly. Let's see. Many GOP leaders are very elitist. They don't care about the plebs. That's why they keep losing. Yep. And I really hope that's not true. I really hope that they don't continue to take massive L's. But I mean, if we keep doing this, if we don't stop the stupid, we will. I mean, at this point, I mean, Democrats are acting really stupid too. We can't forget that. But we can't be dumber than they are. Let's see. Beep, bop, boop. You better be Gina Carano if that's your name. Can you pick the background for the next 10 minutes? It would take me time to switch it out, but maybe I can let you pick the background for 10 minutes on the next live stream. Let's see. Watch the latest on Red and Black episode today. Would like to hear y'all talk about reparations. I'll be talking about this on my channel, but maybe we'll talk about it on Red and Black at some point. But yeah, subscribe to the Red and Black show too. Show I host with Kira Davis, Laney McAllister, and Dr. Chris Metzler. Check us out. Let's see. All right, so let me go on to the next thing. I spent way too much time on that topic, but that's okay. I had a lot to get off my chest there. But last thing, I won't have time to get to Gina Carano, so I'll do that on the next one. So last thing will be Governor Andrew Cuomo and what's been going on there. I'm sure you guys have been keeping track. Whoops, okay. And it's getting worse for him. You're in trouble when you are a Democrat governor and the activist media has turned on you. When the activist media starts attacking you, you have really messed up. Now, if just in case you don't know, I'll just give you the thumbnail sketch version. But it turned out that the coronavirus deaths that happened in New York, especially the ones that happened as a result of his decision to have elderly patients who were infected with COVID-19, he forced nursing homes to take them in, and a lot of people died as a result. Thousands of people. Well, it turns out that they were juicing the numbers, and actually way more people died than what they previously indicated. And the allegations are that they deliberately covered it up. The New York Attorney General, Letitia James, issued a report. This is about 2 weeks ago, I think. She issued a report after having investigated the matter, saying that this happened. One of his aides even admitted to it. Now the FBI is investigating to see what's going on here. There is already talk of impeaching him as governor. Other allegations have come out about how he treats people. There was a state legislator, he was some kind of Democratic official, and Governor Cuomo allegedly called him and threatened him, telling him to tell the media that what he had said before about Cuomo's handling of the coronavirus situation, he had criticized him before to the media. Cuomo called him after that and said, no, you need to retract what you said and tell the media something else. He threatened his job. He threatened to ruin him. And from what's coming out now, he does this a lot. He's done this to a lot of people. He has threatened their jobs. He's threatened their reputations if they don't do what he wants. Now, this isn't Fox News reporting this. I mean, they're reporting on it, but the reports I read were from the New York Times, CNN, Washington Post, NBC News, MSNBC. Did I mention New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, all those guys, the activist media outlets, the ones who were protecting him all last year, the ones who were singing his praises and acting like he was flying around New York City in blue tights and a red cape, curing people of COVID-19 just by breathing on them. Those guys, yeah, they're turning on him. Democrats are turning on him. People in his own government are turning on him. And it just makes me wonder why. They don't normally do this. Normally, they would just defend him, or they would do their whole, Republicans pounce trope. You know how whenever a Democrat does something wrong and conservatives call him out, and then New York Times posts a headline saying Republicans pounce on fill in the dotted line. They're not doing that anymore. And it's not even just Cuomo. I'm kind of seeing this with Newsom a little bit too, but I'm going to kind of wait and see how that turns out, to see how the media continues to cover him. But I'm wondering why they're more willing to throw Cuomo under the bus. I mean, he was so beloved. They had him on a high. He wrote that book. He won an Emmy for his coronavirus press briefings. What's going on here? I don't know what you guys think, but why are they not covering for him like they usually do? Hey, Judd, how you doing? Local sync doesn't work. I'm going to fix that. Okay. Give me just a few minutes. Give me a few minutes after the show and I'll have the right one in there. Maybe I just did it wrong. But I don't get it. My theory, here's my theory. It's just gotten too bad for them to be able to defend it. I think that they're looking at the situation and saying, man, we can't figure out a way to spin this. I don't know how much this is going to hurt him, but when you've got the FBI investigating and you've got people who were on his staff saying that he was covering up those numbers, and now they're coming out saying that he threatens people, that he uses his position to force people to do what they want, maybe it's just too hard at this point. And maybe it's going to cut their losses and say, well, sorry, dog, we can't help you anymore. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if he'll be impeached. FBI is investigating, but we know how that works. They'll find whatever evidence they find. And even if he did it, he's probably not going to go to jail. If the allegations are true, he should go to jail because he killed. He's already contributed to the deaths of thousands of people just with his incompetence. But if he was trying to cover it up because he didn't want to hurt him politically, that is like lower than whale shit, dude. Like that it should be all over the news. And I can see why people were mad that the media was more focused or pretending to be focused on Ted Cruz's dog more than they were on Andrew Cuomo getting people killed and then lying about it. So I'm going to keep watching that, but this is one of those rare cases where the media wasn't as predictable as they usually are. So we'll see what happens going forward. I have a little bit of time. Maybe I will talk about Gina Carano. I don't have that much to say. If you saw my live stream, I wasn't very good at predicting things there, right? I was talking about how they've been trying to cancel her for years and they haven't succeeded. And No, I may have acknowledged that they may in the future be able to cancel her, but they canceled her that day. They fired her from The Mandalorian. Just in case you don't know, Gina Carano, she's an actress, and she played a very important role on the series The Mandalorian, which is one of my favorite shows. And she played a very well-beloved character named Cara Dune. And she was great at it. She played that role so well. And they fired her because she posted a tweet that was seeming to make it sound like Republicans who are dealing with censorship are similar to how Jews were treated in Nazi Germany. Now, I don't believe that that's what she was actually trying to say. She was just making it, well, she wasn't even making the comparison. It was something that somebody else had written, and then she retweeted it. And it was kind of a clumsy comparison, but I didn't get the impression that they were literally trying to say that people like us who deal with censorship are just like Jews in Nazi Germany. I think they were talking about how when the elites foment anger and hatred between rank and file citizens, it can lead to that type of situation. So I think I got what she was trying to say, even though I admit that it was a clumsy analogy. But but I think that so basically that's why they fired her. Now, obviously, I know that they don't really care about Hitler. They don't care about the Nazis. I mean, and again, I'm not talking about everybody on the left. I'm talking about the far left. I'm talking about the elites. I'm talking about the people who pretend to be offended at everything, because I'm pretty sure most normal liberals didn't care. They probably just thought, oh, that was kind of dumb, but whatever. They probably didn't want her fired. So, yeah, but they didn't get her canceled because they were offended. They got her canceled because she leans more conservative and she's in Hollywood and they don't like that. That's their motivation here, realistically. But it does bring up something interesting. I mean, she was on an episode of Ben Shapiro's show and on Sunday, and the Daily Wire is getting more into entertainment because they recognize the problem. I mean, if people are being blacklisted in Hollywood, if they can't express their political beliefs and it'll affect their jobs, the only way to solve that problem is for conservatives to build their own stuff. And it seems like the Daily Wire is doing that. I know they have a movie out, Run, Hide, Fight. I haven't seen it. If you have, let me know. Let me know how it is. But I think that's a positive step, and I think that's where this is going. The good thing is that it's going to get to a point where if an actor does get canceled over some stupid shit, it doesn't wreck their career. They can still do something. It may not be as lucrative as Hollywood, at least not at first, and I get that. It may not pay as much money as, you get to star in a, whatever blockbuster flick that they've got going on. But it's at least a way to provide a level of safety for people who end up getting outed or canceled because of their political beliefs. It's very well known that the world of Hollywood does have a blacklist. They don't like you being conservative. And this does not just apply to actors. It applies to gaffers. It applies to other types of staff, people who do the sets, the special effects. You can't be all that open with your political beliefs unless you have gotten to a level where you're uncancelable, like John Voight, Angelina Jolie's dad. He's an outspoken conservative, but he's at a level where you can't really cancel him. Denzel Washington doesn't talk about politics a lot, but with some of the things he said, it sounds like he has some conservative leanings, but you can't cancel Denzel Washington, so he can get away with it. But there aren't a whole heck of a lot of people who can. So I want to watch and see how this turns out. I hope they succeed. I mean, obviously, I don't always agree with a lot of stuff that Ben Shapiro says, especially what he tweeted out or what he said on his podcast today. That's another story, but I don't agree with a lot of what they say, but I hope that this succeeds because we need this. And it's tragic that it's even necessary because we're going to get into a culture that is very siloed. It's already happening with social media. If they start kicking off enough conservatives, there will be other conservative outlets where only conservatives congregate. I don't like the echo chamber effect on either side. I think it's healthy. It's healthy to have people from differing sides being able to coexist in the same space and argue their ideas. But as of right now, the far left is in control of that vehicle, and we already know where they're going with it. So hopefully this is successful, and people can be able to express their views freely. So that's all I really wanted to say about that. Not a whole heck of a lot. But let's see what else we got. Let's see. All right. Yeah. The same people have compared Trump to Hitler 1 million times without any outrage. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I say. And I even wrote an article about it. The far left loves Hitler. I don't care what they say. They love Hitler, just like they love racism. They love all kinds of bigotry, not because they agree with Hitler, but because Hitler provides them with a political weapon. They can weaponize Hitler. So they love the guy. They love the Nazis because it allows them, like if it wasn't for Hitler and the Nazis, it would have been harder for them to cancel Gina Carano. So, I mean, that is how they look at these things. Again, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about people on the far left who engage in this cancel culture crap. Let's see what else we got. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that sometime. The Muslim Marine tweet with guns had me steaming. What a virtue signaler. I would love to debate him as a Muslim Marine. He probably hasn't even fired a gun in the Corps. You know, and I thought that somebody said that he had like an administrative position, but maybe we can talk about that on the next one. Let's see. There are echo chambers already. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, there have always been echo chambers, right? But I don't want to see that get worse. I mean, because if it gets worse, that's not going to benefit society at all. It won't succeed. The culture war is lost. We've got to rebuild another way and be on the offensive. Well, if that's the case, then the culture war isn't lost. I mean, if we're rebuilding, then we're still fighting the culture war. Being on the offensive, that means we're part of the culture war. It's not lost yet. I don't think that the left is as invincible as they make it sound. I mean, if the culture war was entirely lost, we would always have democratic governments, right? We can fight back. And just to clarify, when I say fight, I'm talking non-violently. I'm not inciting violence, so don't pretend. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's lost. I think conservatives do have a level of influence over the culture, but not nearly as much as we would need. I think that alternative media has helped with that. We need to keep finding other ways to get around the left's hold on the culture, and we will. I think it's happening. Let's see. Conservatives have their little corner on Twitter where they spread lies and grift off each other. Same with people on the left. I mean, I can't say you're wrong, but not everybody's a grifter. You should make a video with Colin Noir for 2 reasons. It would be a good conversation. He might get you some better hats. No. I've got the best hats, okay? Now, I would love to talk to Colin Noir. I don't think I'm big time enough for him, though. But I like that dude. That dude's solid. I like him not just for the 2A stuff, but I like him because he's not the establishment type. He's not the type that's always going to defend the police if a black guy gets shot, yada, yada. He's a solid dude. Let's see. Impeach Jeff on the right. Hey, I got nominated for a grifty, so I'm happy about that. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good there. But again, thank you guys for coming on and hanging out with me a little bit. I appreciate it. I appreciate the subscriptions and the sharing. Please subscribe. Judd, I'll put the link in there again for my locals.com community. I thought it was the right one, but I guess I jacked it up. So I'll get it in there right after this show. But until next time, stay safe.